Hi everyone, this is Connie from Flourish. I'm starting my live video, just adjusting my camera. Happy Saturday. It's nice and cold here. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining. If you could, when you join, tell me where you're at right now. I'm in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, which is about 30 minutes north of Buffalo, New York. Hey, Fabby, thanks for joining. Oh, Fabby, I think you're gonna like this style. This is similar to the piece that you have, see, behind me. Very cool mid-century modern piece. I actually have a couple pieces here with this style, and I love it. I think it's amazing. It's like the curved bow front. Hey, Vilma, thanks for joining. Anyways, it's kind of, some of the drawers are flat. Hey, Roz. And some of the drawers are curved. So it's a really cool look. And I am really, really excited about this transfer. I just got it yesterday. Hi, Sidra. You're in Brantford? Oh, yeah, you are. You're very close. Is it snowing where you are? It was a little flurries like about an hour ago here. It's a beautiful day. Hi, Chastity. It's a beautiful day here, but it is chilly. I mean, like the sun is shining. It's gorgeous. But when I take my dog out, hey, Mariola. When I took my dog out, she like ran up to pee, and then she came back in and I saw the flurries. So as sunny as it is, it's very cold. Hey, Lisa. Thanks for joining live. Yeah, this is probably my, I think, third live. So what I want to do is start doing lives every other Saturday. So this is my first one of the series. And then I'll be back actually with some other folks on the 20th. So there are some content creators in Canada, and we're going to be doing a live together. So that's going to be fun. That's happening on March 20th. We'll set up an event for that, but there's going to be 4 of us. And so what we decided to do was actually pick the same transfer and then create a piece with that transfer as a fun collaborative event. So look forward to that in a couple weeks. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate you taking the time. Happy Saturday. So today I am going to do some boho chic look on mid-century modern furniture. And it's kind of like my go-to. I love it. I use it in my home all the time. Mid-century and the boho chic. So I consider that like a great combo. You see it a lot on Pinterest. And the combination is just kind of magic. So in looking at all of the transfers on the Redesign with Prima website, I picked the Folk one. So this is a transfer. I haven't seen it a bunch on furniture. I think it can kind of go a little bit like, I kind of look at it sort of like Phoenix, Arizona, kind of like the desert states. I don't know, for some reason that's the kind of look that I think it kind of can tend to lean towards. But I think it's amazing, and it's black, and it comes in 3 sheets. So what I did last night was I started to practice, and I wanted to prepare for the live, and because I've never used this transfer before, so I wanted to test it out and see how it looks. And it comes in 3 sheets. I did buy 2 of them because I actually have I have 3 pieces back here, so 2 end tables, a low boy dresser, and then I have a tall boy over here peeking in the corner. And so you can see I added it to the unfinished drawers over here, and it just looks super duper cool. So this is actually one of the 3 sheets that it came in, and this is one of the sheets that it comes in. And this is another one, or excuse me, this is part of this sheet over here, and I cut it off of the bigger sheet. So you can see, I'll show you. This is like the top of the sheet, and this is the bottom of the sheet. And so I just separated them because I want to do something separate with this. And I wanted to test it. I wanted to make sure that I was doing it right before I showed you how to do it. So it comes, this is one of them. This is one of the sheets. And then we have this other sheet, of course, this one and this one. And then we have the other sheet. I actually used it all up on this side. So this is one full sheet plus about a half of another sheet. So that's what you can kind of expect in terms of the size. Like I said, I did buy 2 of them. So I plan to use the rest on these pieces. So it really does have a lot of items in it. And you can actually cut these up, which is great. So like if you wanted to, you know, just have like one of these on a piece or, you know, a couple of them, they're nice and separate. So it's easy to cut around them. So you can place it pretty much wherever you want. Versus some of the florals, you know, you actually have to like be very gingerly when you're cutting around them. This actually has lots of the pieces separate. So you can easily cut them out and put them on, you know, whatever part of the furniture that you want. So what I am gonna do today is use, this is like a smaller, you'll see this one, the lines on here are thinner than they are on, say, like this piece. So see how thick the lines are on here? It's just kind of a slightly different look. But how cool is that? I just love this. I think this is like, this is just an amazing transfer. It's beautiful. And it has so many pieces and you can like, you know, have them go this way, have them go that way. It's really awesome. When I'm applying it, some tips for you as I was doing this yesterday is I used this little handy applicator tool. You can, of course, use the sticks that come with the transfers. But since this has so many lines and they're separate, like the little, they peel off separately, so you really have to rub a lot on each of the, you know, the outlines of all of the lines and everything. Hi, Shannon. Thanks for joining. And so, you know, it took me about an hour with a lot of muscle to do the 2 drawers over here. And I did it while the drawers were in the piece. So you could probably, you know, take them out and that might be easier if you're leaning down, but I was, you know, kind of doing it like this vertically. And so, you know, your arms get a workout. So you don't have to go to the gym that day or work out at home. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This is the fun part. So for the drawers back here, for the items back here, what I plan to do is actually just do the same that I did on this other piece over here. So I plan on just doing the fronts of these drawers right here. So just in case you're curious, yes, it is so boho tribal, Patty. That's a great word for it. Yes, tribal, that's cool. Before I get started, in case you have questions, I painted each of these pieces in coal black by Fusion Mineral Paint. It is a rich, deep, saturated black. I love it. It's my favorite. Fusion is my favorite paint. It's also a Toronto-based paint, so it's local, and it's run by a woman named Jenny Lynn Pringle. She is the daughter of the past owners. It's a family business. So she does tutorials on YouTube and on Facebook for how to use the paint. I post a lot in Paint It Beautiful, which is the Fusion Mineral Paint Facebook group. So that's a good one if you're interested in learning more about the paint. For the drawers here, I sanded it was like a red cherry that was on these before that took a ton of time to remove. So I used multiple different paint removers. And then ended up sanding a bunch of it off because the red was just so there and it took forever. So it was very cherry. But anyways, I got it clean. It is veneer, and some of the veneer actually did come off as I was sanding. And so the great part about this transfer is you can actually cover up little spots like that you accidentally over sand. So if you can see, you can't really see it from here, but there was a spot over here that I over sanded, and right there. And with this transfer, you just kind of cover up your little mistakes. So for this one, what I did for that side, I just laid the transfer down. I did not cut it out or anything like that. I just placed it on the front and then applied the transfer. And there was a little space on either side that I cut out some other little pieces Like for example, I cut these out and this out, and then placed them where the transfer ended. So it looked like one big complete, decal on the front. For these smaller drawers, I don't have to do that because they are smaller. And what I actually need to do is cut this piece because I plan to use this version of the transfer and on these. So how I typically like to do it is because these are like complete. Did I spray or brush my paint? I sprayed the paint on these pieces. You can absolutely do paint, with a brush or with a roller. Redesign with Prima has an awesome roller set that I highly recommend. They're foam rollers, they're smaller, and they're, you get the normal ones, they're about this big around. The ones from Prima are about this big around. So you use a lot less paint. It creates just a really, really smooth finish. But for these, I actually did spray it. I have a Q5 Fuji sprayer, which is an amazing sprayer. It's very quiet. That's why I got it. It's expensive, but it is super quiet. And since I live in a townhome, I have a neighbor and I didn't want to disturb her. So I wanted to make sure that I got, the quietest sprayer that I could. And it has very little overspray. So you can see behind me, this is my garage door. I've covered it with sheeting, plastic sheeting. And I have my wall as well, just to minimize, damage to the garage door and to the wall. And, it provides I don't have a booth because it has such minimal overspray, which is very convenient, especially when you have a really small workspace. Like I have a one-car garage that's dedicated to my workspace. Hi, welcome. Okay, so since I'm going to be using this piece, it's actually longer than the drawers over here. So you see it's longer. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm not like in the middle of one of these and cutting it off. I want to make sure that it's like strategically placed and cut, so it doesn't look like the little decal just ends. I haven't tried spraying, but I've gotten Fusion and I want to try. Yes, if you are going to spray with Fusion, I do recommend watering it down a bit. I tried, especially on the lighter paints. So I tried spraying it without watering it down with like the whites in the Fusion line. And it actually created that, it's called the orange effect, where it's kind of bubbly or bumpy. And when you add water to it, it minimizes those bumps. With the darker colors, like navies and blacks, I have sprayed it without watering it down and it looked fine. But I do recommend doing it just kind of get in the habit of making sure that, you're not getting that orange peel effect. Okay, so what I want to do to apply this, let me just get started, is I want to actually measure the drawers so I know how much length of this piece that I want, and then I want to cut the pieces out before I apply it to the drawers. So these drawers are approximately 18.5 to 19 inches wide. So how I like to do it is I take my measurement and I measure out the length here and I mark it on the plastic. So this is the top of the plastic, so that's fine to write on. So 18.5 is about here, about here. Okay, so let's cut out the part of this sheet that I want. So I'm gonna cut around this one. So this is longer, or this is a part that I don't need. Let's cut out this part. Okay. And this is a little shorter, but we'll go back and pick some pieces from here that we want to add to fill in the gaps here. We want it to make sure on the drawer it's completely kind of all covered. It's also, this is not as tall as what I need. So what I want to do is actually add this part to the bottom as well. And so we just need to make sure that it's placed kind of right in the center. So, and I cut this out from the transfer. So it comes, the sheet comes like this. And what I like to do, just so I can visually see and place, you know, where exactly I want it. And I see, I cut pretty much along the edge of everything. So I place it, or excuse me, I get all of the extra white part off so I can see exactly where the transfer is gonna go, kind of from a measurement standpoint. So, okay, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's grab some painter's tape. I like to use that whenever I am placing a transfer so I know where it's going to go. Okay. Hello, bonjour from Quebec. Thanks for joining. Okay, so for this one, I'm thinking it'll go like right there. So you'll see the top, these, it has these little dots right here. There's a bunch of these little dots. And so that I consider my top. And there's about 1/4 of an inch, no, or maybe 1/2 an inch between the top edge of the sheet and then those little dots. So in total, it's about 1 inch down. So now I want to take this and make sure that that is about 1 inch from the bottom. And see, it's not perfectly centered. So let's bring this up a bit and that down a bit. Let's see, how does that look? Okay, I think it needs to be about like that. Okay. All right. So let's put this there so it stays. Since we have this where I want it to be, okay, so that looks about straight. I also want to make sure it's straight because it would suck if it was like, you know, slanted in some way. Okay, so I typically just take that sheet off and lay it back where I had it. Okay. There we go. And you'll see there's 2 drawers here, so it cuts off right in the middle here. So how I handle that is I take a knife, and once I place it kind of lightly on here, I then cut it. Okay. So now we are ready to rub the transfer on. So this is a little transfer tool. You don't have to buy this little tool. I find it's easier to grip than the little sticks. But one little fun thing about those sticks is you can actually use them as paint stirrers afterwards. So I find that I get good use out of like kind of pretty much all the products whenever I get them, the packaging and everything. The tubes for these transfers are great for storage. They're also nice for gifts, like packaging for gifts. They're kind of they already look pretty, so it's kind of like wrapping paper. I've used that before at Christmas. All right, so everyone's favorite time is rubbing transfers. And like I said, with this one, you really have to get every little tiny bit rubbed on. So like all of these dots are separate. So and they have the full halo around every single little speck. So it's a lot of rubbing. And this black on here matches perfectly with this fusion color. So it's a real true dark black. There's no like gray or purple or any kind of sheen. It's like a real good black. So if you're, you know, looking to put it with something, pair it with something, you know, like it looks just very true to the color. The other thing that I think this I've seen photos of people who do this and put it on white, and that looks really neat. Of course, black looks cool, you know, on top of lots of colors. So I just liked the simple kind of black on black design here. And it's kind of starting to separate from the plastic paper, which is a good thing. And I want to make sure that I get kind of all of the little bits. I actually missed a couple on the one when I was doing it last night. But I actually went over it with other little things like the transfer cracked. And since there's so much on this transfer, I was able to pull a piece and just layer it on top. So you can't see where it cracked again, so that was nice. It was like a little triangle or something in the center. And I just added another little piece of the transfer on top of it. Okay. All right. Can everyone see that? Let me know if you are having a hard time seeing it. So I love mid-century modern furniture. Love, love, love it. I think I gravitate mostly towards mid-century modern and Victorian. I think that's kind of my two favorite eras. And I think the reason why I like mid-century modern, of course it's a classic design, but you can turn it into like that, like I said, the Boho Chic look, which I just think is so fun and fresh. It's like very light and airy somehow. And I know Fabi has done this or a piece similar to this, and it looked amazing. She was sort of the inspiration when I got these pieces. So a woman contacted me. She has a rental unit, and she furnished her rental with a bunch of furniture that her grandmother had given her. And this was some of the pieces. And so she follows me on Facebook and messaged and asked if I wanted to, you know, have the furniture or, you know, buy the furniture. And so she sent me photos of it. And I was like, absolutely, it's great. But I tell you what, the cherry that was the cherry stain, it was very red. Very, very red. And it was covered in a very thick top coat, shellac, I guess. I don't know. But it took me probably 2.5 days to remove all of it. And I mean, I kept adding paint remover to it and just kept adding and kept adding. And it was like layer by layer, you know, bit by bit, it finally came off. So it was exhausting. And I have yet to find the perfect paint remover. So if anybody has any recommendations on great paint removers, please add them to the comments, because I would love to hear what's worked well for you in the past. Because this experience with this set has really, you know, made me realize like how it's needed to have a good paint remover to make life easier. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have, like I said before, I live in a townhouse. And so my neighbor has often heard my sanding, and, you know, that's a problem. I don't want to, you know, get in trouble or anything like that. Or, because in Canada, and I learned this when I moved in Canada, if you have a complaint, you have to like stop. It's not just like, if, you know, that person calls and complains, it's not just a, hey, keep it down. It's like you have to cease and desist. And so since I do furniture painting professionally, you know, I make a lot of noise with my sander, and so I'm very conscious of the amount of noise, and if I can have a paint remover that reduces my use of my sander and my power tools, then it's good for me and my neighbor. I actually installed a soundproof wall. So I found a guy. I was at Home Depot looking for soundproofing panels, and I was planning on doing it myself. And I was just chatting with a guy who was there, talking to him about soundproofing panels, and he said, oh, the guy I'm with does that. So I met him, and he is close to my area, so he came and installed soundproof panels, and then soundproof panels, and then so hopefully the noise transference is less between our two units. But now I know more about soundproofing than I probably ever wanted to know. Okay, so I'm almost finished with this sheet. Okay. So that's what it looks like. I'll give you a little close-up. It's pretty cool, eh? But you can see the halos. So what I recommend for this, it's called burnishing. And for this one, I just use my hand, of course. And I think that's probably what everybody uses, to rub. And that helps to reduce the halo effect. And I am going to top coat this. I'm going to top coat just these drawers to protect the transfer here. And I'm going to use a polyacrylic. It is by Midwax. It says it's a matte finish, but if you've ever used it, it is actually a little shiny. It gets shinier the more coats that you put on. So if you want it to be fairly matte, do one coat, and you'll get a more matte finish. But like I've used it and added 3 coats to tabletops or something like that, and it does get a shine to it. So if you want like true matte, then just do less coats. They don't recommend, I know a lot of people love top coating with gator hide. I've top coated paint with gator hide before. It is a great product. It's very hard. I've sprayed it and painted it and used a sponge to apply it. But it's not recommended for transfers because it does, actually I've seen pictures of it, it like hardens it and it can raise off the piece, and it's like hard, like, you know, almost like a piece of steel. It's crazy. You can also do wax for these as well, but since it's a dresser, and I think people are going to be like, you know, opening and hit, you know, how when you shut a drawer, you can hit your hip on it or something. I think if I did wax, it would just rub off. So I want to make sure that it is nice and strong on there and not going anywhere. So this is the second drawer. This is the piece that I had separated from that. And I like to separate them like that because sometimes there's a gap between the drawers, and then that creates a gap between the transfer. So wherever there's a gap, the transfer will be hanging out, and it won't you know, adhere to either drawer. So you kind of have a gap in the look of the transfer. So I like to separate them and make sure that you know, their alignment, so when they're closed, it looks like one natural, like one piece, and not two separate parts of the transfer. So like the image that I'm applying here, it looks like, you know, one image. And you need to make sure that your drawers are aligned where they're going to be aligned. Sometimes drawers can move within a dresser, and so just make sure that whenever you're applying the, you know, kind of the where you want it aligned, the drawers are aligned where they are when they go into the dresser, or where they're supposed to go into the dresser. If that makes sense. So this dresser, and all of these dressers, Came with the original hardware, which I thought was neat. It was, but it just looked kind of old. I was gonna paint them, and it kind of looked like a check mark, but I decided to go with these new handles. I got them on Amazon. They were fairly inexpensive. I think I spent about 100 Canadian dollars on new hardware. So these are 5-inch wide handles, and then these are gonna be single gold ones. It's the same company. Hardware is so expensive. Thank you. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining. But hardware, I think, is the most expensive part of redoing a piece. And I wanted this to look, like I said, I love the Boho Chic look. I wanted it to look modern and vintage. So I think to achieve that, I decided to add new handles. I was considering just painting the old ones, but wanted to make sure it was nice and modern. And so I like to, you've seen this by other content creators and BAs, kind of rub as you go. I do an initial rub with this little tool, and then I rub as I go, because as it pulls, as it separates from the sheet, you can start to see the halo even more. And so if you rub over it, go back and rub over it, it reduces the halo effect. And it doesn't damage the transfer because you're pulling and rubbing, over it, so it's a little barrier. Because sometimes if I rubbed, over the transfer with this tool without this little sheet, it would damage the transfer, and we don't want that. So how's everybody doing today? Saturday. Anybody got big plans? These are my plans. I went to the U.S. About a little over a week ago to drop off some end tables. And now that I'm back, to get back into Canada, and I was able to go into the U.S. because I'm an American, and to come back into Canada, I had to get what's called a PCR COVID test. And so that typically takes anywhere between 1 to 3 days. So I had to spend the night in Buffalo and get expedited test results. And now that I'm back, every day I've gotten a call from the Health Canada, and they have checked on my welfare and how I'm doing health-wise, making sure that I'm not going anywhere. Checked on the people that are in my house, which is my husband, making sure that I'm quarantining. I've also had to check in every single day on an app to make sure that I don't have any symptoms, and I'm also staying in the house. And I've had 2 visits, in-person visits, where they ring the doorbell, and it's Health Canada asking how I'm doing. So yeah, Canada is no joke. They are very serious about monitoring people who are coming from outside Canada, making sure that we're not spreading and bringing in COVID. Frankly, it's been really, reassuring that how serious that they're taking it. But man, if I realized it was this, major of a situation to travel across the border, yeah, I never would have. And the funny thing is, I didn't have any idea that's how it was going to be. So I thought I was going to be able to go over and come back no problem, since I'm a U.S. citizen and a resident of Canada. But yeah, so I'm never going to do that again. I told my husband, I was like, maybe I just won't ever leave Canada. So similar to what I did up here. Thanks for joining. Hi, Patty. Hi, Leah. Thanks for joining. After you apply the transfer, I like to rub it so it reduces the halo, the little clear bit around all of the transfer pieces, like the colored parts of the transfer, you reduce that by rubbing. And hopefully once I apply a primer, you'll see it even less. Or excuse me, not a primer, a clear coat, you'll see it even less. Okay, so that's how it looks thus far. You got your 2 vaccines. Patty, I'm jealous. How were they? My parents both got theirs. My friends got theirs. And my parents are older, and my friends are in nursing, so they've already gotten vaccinated. I just got an email from my local area health ministers, and it's not going to be until like probably end of the year before I get mine. They have not even started distributing it to those that are 80 and above here, so it's very delayed, and which is unfortunate. Our area got a lot less vaccines than the other surrounding areas, so folks are, you know, all in a tizzy about that, especially because there's a lot of older folks who live in my area, because my area is sort of like a retirement destination. It's surrounded by wineries, and it's just gorgeous. So it's very kind of like vacation-y. I used to come up here on my vacations with my husband, and yeah, so it's really unfortunate. But I'm glad that you got yours. I'm jealous. All right, so here's this other piece that I'm going to add to here. I think that looks cool. I want to make sure that between, you know, the parts up here and then this little dotted line, it's about the same, because I want it to be symmetrical. So, and I don't need all of this, so I'm just going to kind of mark it right here and then cut it. Because if I didn't do that and it landed on this black paint over here, I actually accidentally put some transfer on here. And what if you accidentally get the transfer on a part of your piece that you don't want it on? I have found that the safest and easiest way to get it off is scratching with your fingernails. Oh, really? Patty, all of your adults should be done by the end of May? Wow. That is amazing. Really amazing. So anyways, okay, so that's a little part that I have to get. Oh, and if you accidentally, if you can't get the rest of it off, I have tried using a straight razor to get them off. It could damage your paint. You could also sand it a little bit with like a 320 or even higher, like a 1,000 grit sandpaper, or even one of those green scrubby pads that you put in your dishes, like you wash your dishes with. I've used that before because it doesn't damage your paint as much as like a higher grit sandpaper. So if you accidentally do get a transfer on a part that you don't want and you want to get rid of it, just either use your fingernail, a straight razor, very lightly. You don't want to damage your paint by gouging it out with the straight razor, or some very high numbered sandpaper. Okay. Let's make sure it's nice and on the edges and it's straight. Okay. All right. Oh, this looks cool. I've been thinking about this look for a while, so I got this stuff about a week ago, and all these pieces, and have been waiting impatiently for my box of Redesign with Prima items to arrive, and it got here yesterday. It went from California to Ontario, like through customs and everything, then went to Memphis, Tennessee, and then back to Ontario. So it had a pretty epic journey across North America. And I got it yesterday, and so I was very excited to do this live to show you what I was planning. I haven't done this, I haven't applied this part yet, so it's not coming out. Let me get my, I don't know how you guys do it, or you ladies do it, but to get drawers out, I use a little, hi Anna, thanks for joining. I use a small screwdriver to pull my drawers out. When you're doing transfers, do you tend to keep your transfer, like you apply your transfer while it's put together, the piece is put together, or do you like take the drawers out and then apply the transfer? So you're working on a down motion versus, you know, a vertical motion. Thanks, Sarah. I know, I love the transfer too. You very rarely see it, and I think it's awesome. I think some of the transfers are, I think, a little bit harder to envision how you'd use them and kind of what style furniture you would use, or at least that's, you know, in my experience. And this one, I've admired it so much. You know, every time I log into the website and I'm looking at transfers to purchase or to get, I, you know, have been trying to think of how I would use this one. And, you know, I thought when I got this set that this would pair well with mid-century modern furniture. And I think it is. We'll see. So now I'm going to just go back over and rub it with my hands. Make sure that it's nice and on the piece. Okay, and there's lines on these drawers too. Perfect for a modern, clean look like your piece there. Yes, I agree. Thank you, Sarah. So there is a line here, like this is a separate drawer. These are two drawers. And there's a line in the middle of each drawer, if you can see that. So there's a line here. And so I typically like to push my transfer in. You can use, this is a screwdriver, a small screwdriver, and push it in. Or you can just rub it in with your finger. And I do that, it breaks it a little bit, but you really can't tell. Because otherwise it's just like a little piece of film with nothing behind it. And so you really want it to stick to the wood. All right, so that is that. We have a little space here. So let's look and see what kind of pieces we have left on the transfer that we can add. So here's the end of the sheet. And this piece might be perfect for that size. So let's bring this back over. Trying to minimize how much camera moving I'm doing, because that actually tends to make me a little seasick when I see a bunch of movement. Okay, well, let's see. Yep, that's perfect. Awesome. And it kind of, yeah, this is great. Okay. Let's make sure it's lined up. See how there's about a finger width, baby finger width in between the tops. That very imprecise, but All right, perfect. And you know, I tend to, when I have transfers with this many pieces, I tend to like to move them around in my own, you know, own way. Makes it, you know, kind of artistic and more, you know, unique to you and stuff. But I found that the layout was so good on this transfer that I just used it as is. Ooh. Oh, this looks cool. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Here, let me show you the knobs that I'm going to use for this drawer, or these drawers, these smaller wood drawers. So here's little ones like this. So they're going to go like that. And there's 4. So it'll match the ones over there. That looks pretty awesome. I love it. So I do have 2 end tables here. So I can do this one end table. So it kind of gives you an idea of what the pieces will look like. Let's back this up. So for this drawer, this is going to be a little bit more, I think, of cutting, because the drawer is kind of narrow and these parts are kind of big. So for this, you can kind of start seeing where well, before we start going, we need to see what's going to look best. So I could do like a single item, like that, like a big single item. That actually might look pretty cool. Yeah, let's try a big single item and see what that looks like. Okay, I'm gonna pick this one. Because there's a lot going on both dressers. I wonder if one single item will do. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's try. What do you think? One single item? This is always the fun part. You know, the prepping, the cleaning, all of that stuff is not nearly as fun to do as adding all the transfers. Okay, so here's the center point. So I want to make sure that we line up the transfer, and I'm keeping the little dots on the top too because I think those are cute. So we want to, oh, actually the little dots are not going to be on there. Okay, cool. So let's line this up in the center. Okay, Everything looks perfect. Okay. All right. And I used this X as the center point for the drawer and laid it over where the hardware knob is gonna go. I think that's gonna look really, really pretty. You know, sometimes like once I get to the point where I can see like everything kind of coming together like this, I just envision, you know, the pictures and how I'm gonna stage it and all that stuff. I think for this set, I'm gonna like lean heavy into the boho look and do hanging baskets on the wall and bring in some, you know, of that like rattan wicker, and really maybe some green plants. I can see this actually in like with a black bed and some white linens. I don't know, do you guys ever envision your stuff and where it's gonna be? If you sell, that is. Trying not to get, because these little dots actually ended up not going on it. Or maybe I'll put it on after, actually. So if you're wondering where to buy this transfer, you can find retailers on the Redesign with Prima website. If you click all retailers, or excuse me, yeah, all retailers, you can see ones that are close to you. That looks awesome. Here we go. How cool is that? That's awesome. And so it matches with that, but it's simpler. And then that one. And I have one more back there. I might as well go ahead and do it while we're here. We're here. Okay, so I also want to do another simple one on that one. Or on this one. Here are my choices. Maybe this one or this one. So, and this might actually require two. What if I did two? Like those two. That would be cool. Yeah. What if I did those two? These two. Let's see. They're not very wide. That one's pretty cool. That one might look good. But I would want something on either side. Maybe I can add bits and pieces from other ones. Let's grab the dots. There's another one that could be an option. Oh, well, that's the other one. Okay, that's the same one. Should I do the dots? Nope, that's not the piece with the dots on it. I don't know where the dots went. Okay, here we go. Here are the little dots. Here. Can you see that? Sorry. There we go. Okay. Hi, Marlene. Hi, Sarah. Okay, so so here are some dots, which I think are cute. So let's add those to the top. Okay. Each piece is going to look very unique, which I love. Unique, yet goes together. I'm not a big matchy-matchy person. Like in my bedroom, I have a tall boy and a chest or a drawer or another dresser, a smaller dresser, that I refinished in a gray stain. And it was actually I had painted them navy blue, and then I removed that. Hey Rose, thanks for joining. And then I removed the navy paint and then did a gray stain on top. And it gave it sort of like a blue gray, which is great because I decorate my bedroom with grays and blues and whites. And then my end tables are navy blue. So I like having kind of but I use the same gray stain for the tops of my navy blue tables. So they're each, you know, the items are unique, yet different. I like that. Because you can buy any old matchy-matchy set at, like, you know, a big box store. You can't buy this stuff. You have to, or well, you can buy this stuff, but you can't buy them at those stores. Okay. Let's grab these two. See how they look. Okay. So, I tend to cut as close as I can to the actual piece that I want to put on so I can better place it. Okay. So what did we think of that? I think this one looks much bigger than that one. So maybe we switch that one out. What do you think? What is the name of the transfer? It is called Folk 1. Does Prima do custom designs like your photos? Say that again. I don't understand that question. Patty? Sorry. Maybe rephrase it? Here, let's just get a little bit closer. Okay. So here's one option. I don't know if I like that one. There is this other one. Wow, there's lots of other ones. This one is wire. Let's see what this one looks like. That one, it's kind of small. If I did that, I would want to add 2 bits on either side, which I have. I have this one. Let's see what this looks like. So that bit, and then this bit. Let's see. Okay. So like that one, and then this one, and that one. What do you think? Can you give them an old photograph and they turned it into a transfer? Oh, no, I don't think they do that. But that's a cool idea. I'm sure that there are like printing companies that can help you with that. That would be really neat, actually. Like, oh, especially if you had like a picture, oh, sorry about that. If you had a picture of like, you know, grandparents or something like that, and you're, you know, someone you wanted to kind of memorialize on a piece, that would be amazing. Good idea. Okay. Let's complete this So you all can have your Saturday. Maybe that one. But I'd have to cut off some of the bits. That's okay. This is the fun part. You can just play around and come up with your own style or use bits and pieces from the transfer. You don't have to use the whole thing. That's a neat one. So if I did that, I would have to cut it off, maybe at this line. That'd be cool. Let's try that. Okay. So I'm going to cut it off, the top and the bottom. So hopefully you can see me here. I'm just literally cutting around, cutting a bit of these off so it can fit. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. Okay. That looks pretty cool. Let's do that one. Are there any shops on Etsy that can do that for you? Yeah, I'm sure that there are, Sarah. Good point. Okay, I'm lining it up. So this is interesting. So the hole for the knob is actually slightly left than the line in the center. So I am going to line it up with the hole. Oh, that's driving me crazy. Actually, I'm not going to line it up with the hole. I'm going to line it up with the center point. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. All right. I thought about painting the sides of the drawers on this set with a stencil, but now that I see how busy it is with this transfer, I think I'm going to leave that alone. Maybe add some of the transfer to the sides of these drawers. Oh yeah, so you'll see I made a crack accidentally. I'll show it to you once I finish. Nothing's ever perfect, but you know, I embrace it. Life isn't perfect. But if you are a perfectionist and want, you know, if you're doing a piece like this, there are tons of lines and, you know, little components that you have to really, you know, ensure are rubbed on nice. Otherwise it'll pull off, you know, the backing sheet will pull off and you'll take the transfer parts with you. So just make sure you're rubbing as you go and rubbing back once it's on. And if you do, for this one, it's pretty easy, which is great because it's just straight black. If you do make a mistake and like say part of the transfer came off, here, I'll show you, like, oh, sorry. It says rotate your phone. Here, let me just take it off. So if you see, I don't know if you can, but there's a little crack right here. So if you want, what you can do is take the same size piece, like one of these little triangle bits that are the same size as the part that, you know, has a crack in it, and just rub it over it. So you can fix that crack. So that's pretty cool. The other thing you could also do with this one is, since it's black, straight black, you can just dab a little paint on it and make sure that, you know, it's like nice and filled in. And that's pretty easy. So overall, here's what they all look like. So this is the Folk 1 transfer. There we go. And I really like the way that it looks. The combination of the mid-century modern furniture with this transfer really is very cool. Yeah, and so each of these will get knobs, and then I will protect all of the fronts of these drawers, and the transfer with Minwax polyacrylic. You can get it at Home Depot. I recommend the matte finish. It does, like I said before, the more layers you put of it on a piece, the shinier it will get, even though it is matte. But it holds really, really well. And it holds the transfers really well, and it looks great on pieces, and it's extremely durable. So I highly recommend it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Patty. Oh, Patty, you said that you inherited a chest from your grandmother and would like to put an old photo. Yes, I think an old photo of her on the porch. I think that would be gorgeous. What a sweet idea. But yeah, Sarah said, try Etsy. I think that's a great idea. That is probably the best source for you. I'm assuming like you might even try like a FedEx or something like that and see if they do printing on, you know, sheets that you can then, you know, use as like a transfer. So, or not it's FedEx. I don't know if they have them here in Canada. It's like the print shop. I know they have them in the US. So that might be another option too. Anyway, so if you have any questions, or if you're inspired to buy this transfer, go to the Redesign with Prima website and find a retailer near you. It's called Folk 1. There is a Folk 2, so which is like a more solid black and white version versus this one. It's like all the same sheet, but it's like this the same similar kind of pattern. And if you liked this video and want to hear more from me, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. My business is called Flourish, but it's under my tagline, which is called Your Space Thriving. So this is my little t-shirt with my little logo. So if you see that, then you know you've found me. I'm a content creator for Redesign with Prima. So I'm also on the Prima website, or excuse me, well, I am on the Prima website. You can see some of my work there. But also I post on the Facebook group pretty regularly. I'm going to be doing these lives every other Saturday. So you'll see me again on March 20th. If you have any questions, then you can message me through either Instagram or Facebook or the Redesign with Prima page. I'm here for you, and thanks for joining. I appreciate it, everyone. Have a happy Saturday and a great weekend. All right, bye. See you later.